Hi, my name is Clary Garcia, and I am the Director of the Technology and Optimization Group at BCM1. And today I'm going to share with you some of the highlights from our Telecom Expense Management Solution, or TEM solution, which is called Sophia. So telecom expense management is really the process of automating the invoice receipt, review, approval, and payment process. A lot of organizations still have maybe a hybrid combination of manual and automated processes, or maybe an all manual process. And telecom expense management takes that and throws some automation around it. This is a service that we find is most useful for companies that have multiple locations, multiple suppliers. And the trend that we see is that these organizations tend to start at about $40,000 in monthly recurring revenue of telecommunications spend, and then they go up from there. So how to tell if you need an expense management solution? Maybe if you are struggling to keep up with the volume of invoices, if you're having issues with late fees, or if services are being disconnected for non-payment. These are some of the things that may prompt you to look at a telecom expense management solution. So our approach at BCM1 in delivering telecom expense management is to provide really a foundation and lay the groundwork for transforming the process and that automation from telecom expense management really to telecom expense optimization. And I will walk you through how we do that. So I am jumping over to our inventory module. So this is where we start onboarding our client accounts. And as I go through some of the highlights of this module, what I would like to point out is that we organize and customize the customer tree. And this is the view of how you see your organization. You can then search and filter by multiple criteria. And I will just show you some highlights here for, let's say, a specific service number. So as we go through the process, what we're doing is that we are researching, we are identifying, and then we are cataloging all of your inventory. We also do this at the service address level. The reason why we do that is because by laying the information out in this manner, it allows us to identify things like overtrunked locations, stranded assets, and also helps us to provide you with reporting when you need it. So it can be very specific to a particular location or to an account. So for example, if you are migrating to a new technology, what are the DIDs that you need to be able to port to your SIP trunks? When the migration is completed, how do you get confirmation, and how do you track to ensure that those older service components were disconnected and stopped invoicing? If you have a primary network connection, for example, who is your supplier? If that primary network connection goes down, who is your supplier for your backup connection? Or if you move from one location to the next, how do you ensure that all of the services are disconnected? And all of these examples are real life examples that we have seen of where the tool can really be used and optimized to be able to manage the spend and manage the inventory. So as we catalog the inventory, what we do is also that we are including service attributes for each one of these, so that you can then, again, centralizing this data, you can use it across multiple places within the organization. So if you wanted to track your IP addressing information, for example, for an IP circuit or for that PRI circuit that I used earlier, you can track maybe your local loop ID or your signaling information or who your supplier might be. All of that is in one centralized data place, so that the different people within the organization who may need it at different times and for different reasons have access to it. So that's a key difference between just processing an invoice and telecom expense optimization, is that then you can take this information and be able to answer those questions. One of the other key components of our Sophia service and the approach of BCM One follows is that we're also looking through your contracts, and we are associating all of your service IDs against the contractual obligations for those contracts. So as I jump over to the contracts module, what we can do is then provide you with the underlying details for the services that make up those contractual obligations. So if you are not familiar with the contractual obligations that you have today or how you're trending against those obligations, the Sophia application can help. So as you can see here, the reason why we can do that is because we evaluate each contract, then we catalog them, again, centralizing them in one repository. And we're including details like the terms of the agreement, the financial obligations, the beginning and the end dates of each contract. We have also created a notification module within the contracts module that will send out email notifications to you prior to the contract expiration. And we send out 3 emails for every contract. And we also attach a copy of the contract to so that you can reference it and download it at any time. Again, with the same concept of centralizing all of that information. So all of this information and all of these details that we are capturing and cataloging in both the inventory and the contracts module, not only can they be utilized by you and your teams to be able to manage your network, but then what we do is that we leverage that same detail as we process invoices. So as I jump over to the invoices module, I'll show you how that information is used. So because we have all of the information already pre-populated, and the system can then make use of that to do a monthly audit. So not a one-time, but every single month, the system will look at the database that we have cataloged for your inventory. It will cross-reference it against those contractual obligations and look at the baseline for how much we expect each invoice to build. And in essence, then what it does is it is creating this exception-based workflow where we can then identify the services that need to be investigated because they may not be in the product catalog as part of your existing inventory, or services may not have been allocated. So like every expense management system out there, we are doing those core services, like we are providing cost allocation functionality. And each one for this, obviously you can run a lot of reporting so that you can report against different cost centers, different business units, and different service types. We have a history of everything on the account, including the workflow history of who would have reviewed and approved an invoice, what are the trends in a particular account from a spend standpoint. So all of those core functionalities that are inherent in telecom expense management are part of this. But with Sophia, you can take that information and optimize how you use it. So the process that you're creating is not only more manageable and efficient, that you're bringing through this automation and moving it to a telecom expense management, but you actually can empower the optimization of your business. Thank you for your time.